Jake Morrison had been floating in the cold darkness of space for 3 days now. His exploration ship, the UES Horizon, was nothing more than twisted metal and broken dreams around him. The life support systems were failing, making strange clicking sounds every few minutes. He could feel his body getting weaker with each passing hour. 3 days ago, everything had been normal. Jake was conducting routine surveys of the Kepler 442 system, checking for mineral deposits and potential colony sites. The work was peaceful, almost boring. He had been listening to old Earth music while his scanners did their job. Then the pirates came. The Vrak Syndicate ships appeared from nowhere, their dark hulls bristling with weapons. They attacked without warning, without mercy. Jake's small research vessel had no chance against their firepower. The first blast knocked out his engines. The second destroyed his communications array. The third nearly killed him. Jake remembered the explosion that threw him against the bulkhead. He remembered the taste of blood in his mouth and the sound of his ship dying around him. Then everything went black. When he woke up, he was trapped in what was left of his ship. The pirates had taken everything valuable and left him to die. His emergency beacon was damaged. His food supplies were ruined. His water recycler was broken. All he could do was wait. The cold was the worst part. Space was unforgiving and his ship's heating system was failing. Jake wrapped himself in emergency blankets and tried to stay warm. He thought about Earth, about his sister Amy, who worked as a teacher in New York. He thought about his parents' farm in Iowa and how the corn looked in summer. These memories kept him going when everything else seemed hopeless. On the third day, something changed. Jake's damaged sensors picked up a ship approaching. At first, he thought the pirates had returned to finish him off. But this ship was different. It moved slowly, carefully. It wasn't built for war. The ship that found him was unlike anything Jake had ever seen. It was smooth and white, with curves that seemed to flow like water. Strange symbols covered its hull, glowing softly in the darkness. The vessel was about the size of a Earth frigate, but its design was completely alien. Captain Vera Kelthane stood on the bridge of the Compassionate Dawn, studying the wreckage through her ship's sensors. She was tall and graceful, with pale blue skin and large, kind eyes. Her people, the Zelani, had been traveling through this system on a mercy mission to help refugees from a recent war. "Captain," said her medical officer, Dr. Neth Vorlin, "there's a life form in that wreckage. It's badly injured." Vera looked at the strange ship more carefully. She had never seen anything like it before. The design was rough and practical, so different from Zelani engineering. But that didn't matter. Her people had a sacred duty to help any injured being they encountered. "Bring us closer," she ordered. "Prepare the medical bay." The Zelani crew worked quickly to scan the wreckage. They found Jake's life signs were weak but stable. His species was unknown to them, but Dr. Vorlin could see that he was dying. The alien's body chemistry was unlike anything in their medical databases. "We need to get him out of there," the doctor said. "His life support is failing," Vera nodded. "Do it. We'll figure out how to help him once he's aboard." The rescue was dangerous. The wreckage was unstable, and pieces of metal kept breaking off. The Zelani used their tractor beams to carefully extract Jake from his damaged ship. They brought him aboard the Compassionate Dawn. Just as his life support finally gave out, Dr. Vorlin worked frantically to save Jake's life. The alien's blood was red like some creatures she knew, but its chemical makeup was completely different. His bones were denser than Zelani bones. His muscles worked in ways she had never seen before. Everything about him was strange and new. "His blood pressure is dropping," called out her assistant, Healer Jenth. "We're losing him." "Not on my watch," Dr. Vorlin replied firmly. She had dedicated her life to healing, and she wasn't going to let this being die if she could prevent it. The Zelani medical team worked for hours. They adapted their equipment to work with Jake's human biology. They synthesized medicines that his body could use. They repaired his damaged organs with techniques they had never tried before. It was the most challenging medical case any of them had ever faced. Slowly, Jake's condition stabilized. His breathing became regular. His heart rate improved. The color returned to his skin. Dr. Vorlin allowed herself a small smile of satisfaction. The alien would live. Jake woke up in a room that looked like it was made of pearl and light. The walls curved gently, and everything glowed with a soft, warm radiance. He tried to sit up, but his body felt weak and strange. Tubes and wires connected him to machines he didn't recognize. A figure approached his bed. It was tall and graceful, with blue skin and the kindest eyes Jake had ever seen. The being spoke in a musical language he didn't understand, but its tone was gentle and concerned. "Don't worry," Dr. Vorlin said, though Jake couldn't understand her words. "You're safe now." Over the next few days, Jake learned more about his rescuers. The Zilani were a peaceful species dedicated to healing and helping others. They had no armies, no weapons of war. They traveled the galaxy providing medical aid to anyone who needed it. Captain Kelthane visited Jake often. Through simple gestures and basic translation programs, she learned that he was called a human and came from a world called Earth. She was fascinated by his stories of his home planet and his people. Jake was amazed by the Zilani's kindness. They had risked their own safety to save him, a complete stranger from an unknown species. They asked for nothing in return. When he tried to offer them payment or trade goods, they seemed confused by the concept. "We help because it is right," Captain Kelthane told him through the translator. "All life is precious." As Jake recovered, he learned that the Zilani were taking him to a neutral space station where he could find transport back to human space. They planned to continue their own mission to help war refugees. It was simply what they did. Jake activated his emergency beacon using parts the Zilani had salvaged from his ship. The quantum-encrypted signal would reach Earth's colonial defense network and let them know he was alive. He had no idea what kind of response it would trigger. He only knew that these gentle beings had saved his life when they had no reason to do so. They had shown him compassion when he was at his most vulnerable. As he looked out at the stars from the medical bay window, Jake hoped his people would understand what the Zilani had done for him. The beacon was already racing toward Earth, carrying news of humanity's first contact with an alien species. It would soon reach people who believed in loyalty, in protecting those who protected them, and in answering kindness with overwhelming gratitude. Admiral Lisa Carter was reviewing supply reports when the emergency beacon reached Earth's colonial defense network. The quantum-encrypted signal arrived at Luna Station's command center at 0347 hours, ship time. The automated systems immediately flagged it as a Priority 1 emergency and routed it to the Admiral's personal terminal. Lisa had been expecting bad news about supply shortages or equipment failures. She had not been expecting to read the most important message in human history. The beacon contained not just a distress signal, but complete mission logs, medical data, and most shocking of all, proof that humanity was not alone in the universe. The message was clear and detailed. Commander Jake Morrison, pilot of the exploration. Vessel UES Horizon had been attacked by unknown hostiles while conducting routine surveys. His ship was destroyed, his life support failing, and death seemed certain. Then something extraordinary happened. An alien species called the Zilani had rescued him. Lisa read the report 3 times before she fully understood what she was seeing. The Zilani were described as peaceful healers who traveled the galaxy providing medical aid to anyone in need. They had found Jake's wreckage, risked their own safety to save him, and asked for nothing in return. They were currently transporting him to a neutral space. Stationed through dangerous territory, the Admiral called for an immediate staff meeting. Within minutes, her senior officers were gathered in the command center. Captain Ryan Blake, Morrison's direct supervisor, arrived first. He had worked with Jake for 5 years and knew him as a skilled pilot and good man. "Is this real?" Blake asked, staring at the beacon data on the main screen. "The encryption codes are valid," replied Lieutenant Colonel Kate Murphy, the intelligence officer. "The medical data matches Morrison's service records. This is genuine." Admiral Carter stood before the assembled officers. "Ladies and gentlemen, we have just received confirmation that humanity is not alone in the universe. More importantly, we have learned that there are beings out there who believe in helping strangers, even at great risk to themselves. The room was quiet as the implications sank in. This was first contact with an alien species, but it was happening under the most positive circumstances possible. The Zilani had not invaded or threatened humanity. They had simply saved a human life because it was the right thing to do. "What's Morrison's current status?" asked Captain Blake. "Stable, but still recovering," Lisa replied. "The Zilani have advanced medical technology. They've managed to treat injuries that would have been fatal with our current capabilities. They're heading for a neutral station in the Kepler system." Colonel Murphy pulled up a star chart on her tablet. "Admiral, that's contested space." "Intelligence. Reports show increased pirate activity in that region. The same groups that attacked Morrison are operating there." Lisa studied the tactical display. The area was indeed dangerous, with multiple pirate factions and very little law enforcement. The Zilani medical ship would be an easy target for slavers and raiders. These peaceful beings had saved a human life, and now they were in danger because of their compassion. "Ma'am," said Captain Blake, "we need to respond. These beings saved one of our own. They put themselves at risk for a complete stranger. If they're attacked while helping Morrison, we'll never forgive ourselves." Lisa nodded. She had been thinking the same thing. Earth's response to this situation would define humanity's character for generations to come. The Zilani had shown the best of what intelligent life could be. Humanity needed to respond in kind. "How long would it take to get a ship to their position?" she asked. "A single cruiser could reach them in 18 hours, replied Commander Danny Rodriguez, the fleet operations officer. "But Admiral, we don't know what we're walking into. This could be a trap." "The medical data proves otherwise," said Colonel Murphy. "No one could fake these readings. The Zilani really did save Morrison's life using technology we don't have." Lisa walked to the observation window overlooking Earth. The blue planet turned slowly below, peaceful and beautiful. Somewhere out there, beings she had never met were protecting a human citizen. They were doing it not for profit or politics, but because they believed life was sacred. "Prepare the fleet," she ordered. "Full battle group." The officers exchanged surprised looks. "Admiral," said Captain Blake, "a full battle group for one ship?" "Captain, these beings saved one of our people when they had no reason to do so. They're traveling through dangerous space because they're helping him. Earth's response should show them what humanity values." Commander Rodriguez stepped forward. "Which ships do you want in the battle group?" Lisa turned back to face her staff. "The UES Defiant as flagship, 3 destroyers for escort, 2 medical, frigates to assist the Zilani, full support squadron for logistics, and I want our best xenobiology team aboard." "That's 12 ships," said Blake. "For one rescue mission?" "This isn't just a rescue mission," Lisa replied. "This is first contact with an alien species. These beings have shown us compassion and medical knowledge beyond our current capabilities. They've demonstrated that there are others in the universe who believe in helping strangers. Our response will tell them what kind of species humanity is." The orders went out immediately. Across the solar system, ships began preparing for the most important mission in human history. The UES Defiant, Earth's newest and most advanced battlecruiser, was readied for immediate departure. Captain Rodriguez was given command of the battle group. Dr. Helen Wright, Earth's leading xenobiology expert, was summoned from her research station on Mars. She would lead the scientific team responsible for first contact protocols. Her job was to ensure that humanity's first meeting with alien life went smoothly. "Dr. Wright," Admiral Carter explained over the communication link, "we're dealing with a species that appears to be more advanced than us medically, but apparently has no significant military capabilities. They're healers, not warriors." "Understood, Admiral. I'll prepare cultural and biological analysis protocols. We need to approach this with respect and caution." The fleet assembled quickly. Within 6 hours, 12 human warships were ready to depart for the Kepler system. The crews had been briefed on the mission's importance. They were not just rescuing one human, but potentially establishing humanity's first alien alliance. As the ships prepared to jump to hyperspace, Admiral Carter sent a message to Earth's government leaders. The politicians would need to be informed that humanity was no longer alone in the universe. But the immediate priority was ensuring that Jake Morrison and his rescuers reached safety. The beacon data showed that the Zilani ship was still 3 days away from the neutral station. Intelligence indicated that pirate activity was increasing in that region. Time was running short. Captain Rodriguez stood on the bridge of the UES Defiant as the battle group entered hyperspace. He understood the mission's importance. These Zilani had shown humanity that there were good beings in the universe, species that valued life above profit or power. Earth's response would show them that humanity valued loyalty, gratitude, and the protection of those who protected them. The fleet was racing toward the stars, carrying a message that would echo through the galaxy for generations to come. The UES Defiant sliced through hyperspace at maximum velocity, leading 11 other human warships toward the Kepler system. Fleet Captain Danny Rodriguez stood on the bridge watching the star charts update in real time. They had been traveling for 14 hours, and the tension among the crew was growing stronger with each passing minute. This was not like any mission Rodriguez had ever commanded. He had led fleets into battle against pirates and hostile colonies, but this was different. They were racing to protect beings they had never met, aliens who had shown kindness to a human stranger. The weight of representing all humanity in this first contact situation pressed heavily on his shoulders. Dr. Helen Wright worked frantically in the ship's laboratory, preparing for the most important meeting in human history. She had studied every piece of data from Morrison's beacon, analyzing the Zilani's medical techniques and biological readings. The aliens appeared to be carbon-based life forms like humans, but their technology was far more advanced in medical applications. "Captain," Dr. Wright called over the communication system, "I need to brief you on what we know about the Zilani." Rodriguez left the bridge in the hands of his executive officer and headed to the lab. Dr. Wright had covered every surface with charts and diagrams, showing Zilani physiology and technology. Her excitement was obvious despite the serious situation. "They're remarkable," she began immediately. "Their medical knowledge is centuries ahead of ours. They managed to perform surgery on Morrison using techniques we can't even understand yet. But here's the interesting part. They appear to have no military technology at all." Rodriguez studied the data displays. "No weapons? None that we can detect. Their ship is designed purely for medical and rescue operations. They're healers, not warriors. That makes them extremely vulnerable in contested space." Meanwhile, aboard the Compassionate Dawn, Captain Vera Kelthane monitored her sensors with growing concern. Long-range scans showed multiple ships converging on their position. The energy signatures matched those of Vrak Syndicate vessels, the same pirates who had attacked Morrison's ship. Jake Morrison, now mobile but still recovering, joined Captain Kelthane on the bridge. His translator device allowed basic communication with the Zilani crew. He could see the worry in their large, expressive eyes. "How many ships?" he asked through the translator. "7 that we can detect," replied Kelthane. "Probably more hiding. In the asteroid fields? They know we rescued you, and they want to capture us both." Morrison felt anger rising in his chest. These peaceful beings had saved his life, asking nothing in return. Now they were in danger because of their compassion. He wished he could contact his people directly, but the quantum beacon was a one-way communication system. "My people will come," he told Kelthane. "They don't abandon their friends." Kelthane found this statement puzzling. In her experience, most species prioritize their own survival over loyalty to individuals. The concept of risking multiple lives to save one person was foreign to Zilani thinking, though they respected it. Dr. Neth Vorlin joined them on the bridge, carrying a medical report. "The human is healing faster than expected," she announced. "His species appears to have remarkable recovery abilities. But he shouldn't be on his feet yet." "I'm fine," Morrison insisted. "My people need to know what's happening when they arrive." The Zilani crew found Morrison's determination both admirable and concerning. They had never encountered a species that placed such emphasis on individual loyalty and protection. Their own society was built around collective welfare and peaceful coexistence. Back on the Defiant, Captain Rodriguez received an urgent message from the intelligence officer. Sir, we're detecting increased pirate activity in the target system. It looks like they're setting up an ambush. Rodriguez called a meeting of his senior staff. The other ship captains joined by secure communication link. They needed to plan their approach carefully. The Zilani vessel was still 2 days away from the neutral station, and the pirates were closing in. Ladies and gentlemen, Rodriguez began, we have a unique situation. We're about to conduct humanity's first military operation to protect an alien species. Our actions will be remembered for generations. Captain Sue Baker of the destroyer UE's Lightning spoke first. What are the rules of engagement, sir? Standard protection protocols, Rodriguez replied. The Zilani vessel is under our protection. Any hostile action against them will be met with full force. We treat them as we would any human ship in distress. The fleet continued through hyperspace, their crews preparing for potential combat. The medical frigates aboard the battle group carried emergency supplies and additional medical personnel. If the Zilani ship was damaged, human doctors would be ready to assist. Dr. Wright had been working with the communication specialists to develop translation protocols. When they met the Zilani, humanity needed to be able to communicate clearly and respectfully. The first words between their species would be crucial. On the compassionate dawn, the situation was becoming more desperate. The pirate ships were getting closer, and their intentions were clear. The Vrak Syndicate was known for capturing medical personnel and selling them as slaves. They also wanted Morrison for interrogation about human technology and defenses. We should surrender, suggested one of the younger Zilani crew members. If we resist, they'll kill us all. Captain Kelthane shook her head firmly. We have a patient in our care. We don't abandon those who need healing. Morrison was impressed by their dedication. Even facing death, the Zilani refused to give up on their medical duties. He had never encountered such pure commitment to helping others. There's something else, he told Kelthane. My people don't just rescue individuals. When they come for me, they'll bring enough force to ensure everyone's safety. Kelthane didn't fully understand what Morrison meant, but she could sense his confidence. Whatever his species was like, they had apparently earned his complete trust. The pirate ships were now close enough to be seen on visual sensors. 7 large vessels bristling with weapons, designed for capturing and enslaving other beings. They moved with the confidence of predators who had never faced serious opposition. The lead pirate ship began transmitting demands for surrender. Captain Kelthane ignored them, focusing instead on her medical readings. Morrison's recovery was progressing well, but he would need more time to fully heal. She had to keep him safe until help arrived. Captain, called the sensor operator, I'm detecting something strange. There's a massive hyperspace distortion approaching our position. Kelthane looked at the readings with confusion. The energy signature was unlike anything in their databases. It was huge, much larger than any single ship. Morrison looked at the display and smiled for the first time since his rescue. That's not one ship, he said quietly. That's a fleet. The Zilani crew gathered around the sensors, watching in amazement as 12 human warships prepared to drop out of hyperspace. The energy readings were staggering. These vessels were clearly built for war, not healing. You said your people would come, Kelthane said to Morrison. You didn't mention they would bring an army. Morrison's smile grew wider. We don't do anything. Halfway, you saved one human life. My people are about to show you what that means to us. The pirate ships had also detected the approaching fleet. Their confident advance faltered as they realized they were about to face an unknown enemy with overwhelming firepower. The hunters were about to become the hunted dot in the depths of hyperspace, the human battle group prepared for combat. They carried with them the hopes and values of their entire species. The Zilani had shown them that there were good beings in the universe, species worth protecting and befriending. Earth's response would be swift, decisive, and without mercy for those who threatened the innocent. The human fleet dropped out of hyperspace with a brilliant flash of light that illuminated the entire system. 12 warships appeared in perfect formation, their weapons already charging and shields at full power. The used Defiant led the formation, its massive hull gleaming with the authority of Earth's colonial defense. Force. Captain Danny Rodriguez took in the tactical situation at a glance. The Zilani medical ship was surrounded by 7 pirate vessels, their weapons trained on the peaceful craft. Energy readings showed that the pirates had been preparing to board the alien vessel when the human fleet arrived. All ships, this is Defiant Actual, Rodriguez commanded over the fleet communication channel. We have hostile vessels threatening a protected craft. Prepare for immediate engagement. The pirates had expected to capture a defenseless medical ship and its valuable cargo. Instead, they found themselves facing the most advanced warships in human space. The Vrak Syndicate vessels were crude and brutal, designed for terrorizing civilians and capturing slaves. They were no match for military-grade human technology. Rodriguez opened a communication channel to the Zilani ship. Compassionate Dawn. This is the UES Defiant. We are here to escort you to safety. Thank you for saving our citizen. Aboard the Zilani vessel, Captain Vera Kelthane stared at the massive human warships with amazement. Each ship was larger than her entire medical frigate, and their weapon systems were beyond anything she had ever seen. The energy signatures alone were enough to power a small city. They really came, she whispered to Jake Morrison, who was standing beside her on the bridge. I told you they would, Morrison replied, his voice filled with pride. My people don't abandon their friends. The lead pirate ship, commanded by a brutal Vrak named Thexus, tried to salvage the situation. Human vessels, you are interfering with legal salvage operations. Withdraw immediately or face the consequences. Rodriguez's response was immediate and final. Negative. You are threatening beings under our protection. You have 30 seconds to withdraw or we will consider you hostile. Thexus snarled at the ultimatum. The Vrak Syndicate had never backed down from a fight, and they weren't about to start now. You humans are new to this galaxy. We'll teach you how things work out here. The pirate ships opened fire first, their crude plasma weapons striking the human shields with violent flashes of energy. The attack was ineffective against the advanced defensive systems, but it gave Rodriguez all the justification he needed. All ships, weapons free, he ordered. Protect the Zilani vessel at all costs. The battle was swift and one-sided. Human weapon systems had been designed to fight wars against other advanced civilizations, not rabble of pirates using stolen technology. The destroyer used Lightning took out 2 pirate ships with a single salvo from its main guns. The cruiser UES Thunderbolt disabled another with precision strikes that left its crew alive but helpless. Dr. Helen Wright watched the battle from the Defiance Science Station, recording everything for later analysis. This was humanity's first combat action in defense of an alien species, and it would be studied for generations to come. The pirate ship carrying Thexus tried to escape, but the human destroyers were faster and more maneuverable. Captain Sue Baker of the Lightning pursued the fleeing vessel, her weapon systems locked onto their engines. This is your final warning, she broadcast to the pirate ship. Surrender now or be destroyed. Thexus realized his situation was hopeless. The humans had superior technology, superior tactics, and superior numbers. His remaining ships were already disabled or destroyed. We surrender, he transmitted, his voice filled with rage and defeat. The entire battle had lasted less than 20 minutes. The human fleet had eliminated a pirate threat that had been terrorizing this region of space for months. More importantly, they had done it to protect beings they had never met before. Rodriguez immediately focused on the Zilani ship. Compassionate Dawn, this is Captain Rodriguez. What is your condition? Do you require assistance? Captain Kelthane responded with wonder in her voice. We are undamaged, Captain Rodriguez. Your arrival was perfectly timed. We are grateful beyond words. No gratitude necessary, Rodriguez replied. You saved one of our people. We protect those who protect us. Dr. Wright requested permission to begin first contact protocols. This was the moment humanity had been preparing for since they first looked up at the stars. The first official communication between human and alien civilizations would happen here, in the aftermath of a battle fought to protect the innocent. Compassionate Dawn, this is Dr. Helen Wright of Earth. We would be honored to establish formal contact with your people. We have much to learn from each other. The Zilani crew gathered around their communication station, still amazed by what they had witnessed. Jake Morrison had been right about his people. They had responded to kindness with overwhelming force and protection. Dr. Wright, Captain Kelthane responded, we would welcome the opportunity to learn about your species. Your actions today have shown us that there are warriors who fight for justice rather than conquest. The two medical frigates in the human fleet moved closer to the Zilani ship. Their crews were prepared to offer assistance and begin the process of sharing medical knowledge. Dr. Wright had already prepared cultural exchange protocols that would allow both species to learn from each other. Morrison requested permission to address both crews. Despite his injuries, he felt it was important to participate in this historic moment. Captain Rodriguez, Captain Kelthane, I want to thank you both. Today has shown me the best of what intelligent life can offer. The human crew listened as Morrison continued. The Zilani saved my life when they had no reason to help me. They risked their own safety for a stranger. And my people responded exactly as I knew they would, with loyalty, gratitude, and protection. Captain Kelthane was deeply moved by the display of human values. Commander Morrison, your people have shown us something remarkable today. We help others because we believe life is sacred, but you protect others because you believe friendship is sacred. The rescued pirate crews were taken aboard human ships as prisoners. They would face trial for their crimes, but they would also serve as witnesses to humanity's first contact with an alien species. The story of this battle would spread throughout the galaxy, carrying a clear message about human values. Rodriguez coordinated the fleet's new formation. The Zilani ship would travel in the center of the human formation, completely protected from any future attacks. The journey to the neutral station would take another day, but it would be safe. As the combined fleet began moving toward their destination, both species took their first steps toward understanding each other. The Zilani shared their medical knowledge freely, while the humans offered protection and technological exchange. Dr. Wright established communication protocols that would allow for more complex discussions. The Zilani language was musical and complex, but their concepts of healing and compassion translated easily into human understanding. Captain Rodriguez, Morrison said as he watched the stars through the Zilani ship's viewports, thank you for coming. I knew my people wouldn't abandon me, but this exceeded even my expectations. Commander, you're a human citizen who was in danger, Rodriguez replied. Earth doesn't negotiate with pirates, and we don't leave our people behind. These Zilani proved they share our values when they saved you. That makes them our allies. The fleet continued toward the neutral station, carrying with them the foundation of humanity's first interstellar alliance. The Zilani had helped one wounded human, and Earth had answered with an entire fleet and no questions asked. It was a response that would echo through the galaxy for generations to come. 3 months after the rescue in the Kepler system, the blue and green world of Feral Prime prepared to host the most important diplomatic event in galactic history. The Zilani homeworld had never seen anything like the human delegation that was arriving today. Massive ships approached their peaceful planet, but these vessels came bearing gifts of friendship rather than threats of war. Ambassador Kate Sullivan stood on the observation deck of the U's Harmony, watching Feral Prime grow larger in the viewport. The planet was beautiful beyond description, with vast oceans and floating cities that seemed to glow with their own inner light. Everything about the Zilani homeworld spoke of a civilization dedicated to healing and growth rather than conquest and destruction. The first meeting between Jake Morrison and the Zilani had grown into something neither species had expected. What began as a simple rescue had become the foundation for the most successful interstellar alliance in known history. The two civilizations had discovered that their values complemented each other perfectly. Captain Vera Kelthane, now serving as the Zilani's first ambassador to Earth, had spent the past month learning about human culture and society. She was amazed by humanity's complex mixture of fierce protection and gentle compassion. Humans could be warriors when necessary, but they chose to be healers whenever possible. The formal ceremonies took place in the Crystal Hall of Thero Prime's capital city. The building was made entirely of a translucent material that caught and reflected light in patterns that seemed almost alive. Representatives from dozens of galactic civilizations had come to witness this historic alliance. Ambassador Sullivan and Ambassador Kelthane signed the friendship treaty using both human and Zilani writing systems. The document established trade agreements, mutual defense pacts, and most importantly, protocols for sharing medical and technological knowledge between their species. Today marks the beginning of a new era, Sullivan announced to the gathered delegates. Humanity and the Zilani prove that different species can work together for the benefit of all life in the galaxy. The alliance had already proven beneficial for both civilizations. Earth had gained access to medical technology that extended human lifespans and cured diseases that had plagued humanity for centuries. Cancer, heart disease, and neurological disorders were becoming things of the past thanks to Zilani healing techniques. The Zilani had received something equally valuable. In return, human defensive technology and military tactics had revolutionized their ability to protect their medical missions. Zilani ships now traveled with human escorts, ensuring that their humanitarian work could continue without fear of pirate attacks. Dr. Helen Wright had established the Joint Species Medical Research Institute on Thero Prime, human and Zilani. Scientists worked side by side, combining their knowledge to create healing techniques that neither species could have developed alone. The results were already saving lives across the galaxy. Jake Morrison, now fully recovered and promoted to admiral, had become the unofficial symbol of human-Zilani friendship. His story was known throughout both civilizations as proof that kindness between strangers could lead to lasting bonds between entire species. Morrison often visited the research institutes on Thero Prime, bringing his wife Sarah and their two young children. The kids had grown up knowing Zilani as family friends rather than mysterious aliens. They played with young Zilani in the floating gardens of the capital city, speaking both languages fluently. "Uncle Vera," Morrison's daughter Emma called to Captain Kelthane, using the affectionate title she had given the Zilani ambassador. "Will you tell us the story about Daddy's rescue again?" Kelthane smiled with the gentle expression that had become familiar to humans across Earth's colonies. "Of course, little one. But this time you must help me tell it." The story had become a legend among both species, but it was more than just entertainment. It served as a reminder of the values that had brought them together. The Zilani had helped, without expecting reward, and humanity had responded with overwhelming gratitude and protection. The alliance had changed the political landscape of the galaxy. Other species watched in amazement as humans and Zilani worked together to establish medical stations and research facilities throughout known space. The joint projects treated patients from dozens of different civilizations, asking only that they spread the message of cooperation and healing. Captain Danny Rodriguez, now Fleet Admiral Rodriguez, commanded the joint defense forces that protected Zilani medical missions. Human warships escorted Zilani hospital ships to war zones and disaster areas, ensuring that help could reach those who needed it most. The partnership had faced its first major test when the Korvac Empire threatened to invade Zilani space. The aggressive reptilian species had planned to capture Zilani healers for their own exclusive use. Instead, they found themselves facing the combined might of Earth's colonial defense force. The war lasted only 3 weeks. Human military efficiency, combined with Zilani intelligence networks, proved unstoppable. The Korvac were defeated so decisively that other aggressive species reconsidered their own expansion plans. The galaxy learned that attacking peaceful Zilani meant fighting determined humans. Ambassador Sullivan stood in the garden where she had first met Kelthane 3 months ago. The Zilani diplomat had become more than a political ally. She had become A true friend? Their weekly conversations had helped both species understand each other's perspectives on everything from family structures to philosophical questions about the nature of life. "Kate," Kelthane said, joining her human friend in the garden, "I have been thinking about what your Admiral Carter said when we first met." "What was that?" Sullivan asked. "She said that Earth's response would show us what kind of species humanity is." "I think we understand now," Sullivan nodded. "And what did you conclude?" "That humans are the galaxy's protectors," Kelthane replied simply. "You fight not for conquest but for justice. You protect not just your own people, but anyone who shares your values of compassion and healing." The two ambassadors walked through the crystal gardens where human and Zilani children played together. The sight had become common throughout both civilizations. Mixed crews served on exploration ships and medical vessels. Humans learned Zilani healing arts while Zilani studied human engineering and tactics. Morrison joined them in the garden, carrying his infant son David in his arms. The baby reached toward Kelthane with the fearless curiosity that marked the new generation. These children would grow up in a galaxy where cooperation between species was normal rather than extraordinary. "Admiral," Kelthane said, "your son will never know a universe where humans and Zilani were strangers." "That's the idea," Morrison replied. "Emma and David will grow up understanding that helping others is what defines us as intelligent beings, whether those others are human, Zilani, or species we haven't met yet." The alliance continued to grow stronger with each passing year. Joint colonies were established on frontier worlds where humans provided security while Zilani offered medical support to new settlements. The model proved so successful that other species began requesting similar partnerships. Ambassador Sullivan received regular reports about the alliance's expansion. Human Zilani medical stations had treated over 2 million patients from 37 different species. The Joint Research Institutes had developed cures for diseases that had plagued entire civilizations for generations. More importantly, the partnership had inspired other species to form their own cooperative alliances. A galaxy was becoming a more peaceful place as civilizations learned that working together produced better results than fighting each other. As evening fell on Thero Prime, Morrison stood with his family and friends watching the sunset paint the sky in brilliant colors. The view included both human ships and Zilani vessels in orbit above the planet, symbols of the lasting friendship between their peoples. "You know," he said to Kelthane, "when you rescued me from that wreckage, did you ever imagine it would lead to all this?" "Never," she admitted. "We simply saw someone who needed help and provided it. That is what healers do. And when my people came to get me, we saw beings worth protecting and befriending. That is what humans do." The rescue of one wounded human had proven that the universe contained species capable of great compassion and fierce loyalty. The Zilani had shown humanity that there were beings worth saving, and humanity had shown the galaxy that some friendships were worth fighting for. The alliance between Earth and Thero Prime would endure for centuries, serving as proof that the best response to kindness was overwhelming gratitude and eternal protection.